Hari Om Tat Sat. This book is written by Swami Tadatmananda, who is the guru of one of our audience members, who graciously gifted the book to me for us to read in our Sangha. We are more than halfway through the book now, and that author, Swamiji, has given his blessing in sharing it. I was cautious to read it because I worry that I'd be giving a free audiobook of such a spiritual text, and I appreciate the financial return. But he assured me that this book will be made as a free PDF in the near future. So there is no need to encourage you all to go and purchase it, but you're welcome to anyway. If you want a physical copy, of course. It takes place from the author's eyes, but before he was known as a Swami, he was Mark. And a Swami is a particular kind of monk, like how there's Catholic monks, Buddhist monks. Hindu monks are often called Swamis. And so he was a Westerner, like you and I, an American who I believe grew up in Pennsylvania. Maybe Sky Guardian can correct me on that. America, regardless, who was a computer scientist and a newlywed who married his high school sweetheart. But after a divorce and an unfulfilling career, he went to India to explore a spiritual awakening. So this book takes place before his worldly renunciation, just before, where he is in an ashram in North India, near the banks of the Ganges, from which this book gets its name. Ganges are a spiritual river system, a real river system, but spiritually revered, also known as the Ganga in Sanskrit. He's staying in a city called Rishikesh, and he is with his guru, Swami Dayananda. Before my first trip to India, I was troubled by other doubts. Then, I knew nothing about ashram life. I naively imagined ashrams to be spiritual fairylands filled with saintly people who were perpetually happy and carefree. After living in such a rarefied environment for 3 years, I feared that readjustment to life in the quote-unquote real world would be extremely difficult. When I discussed this with Swami Dayananda, he explained that ashrams are microcosms of the world. Ashram residents have the same problems, quirks, and temperamental natures as people everywhere. Because of this, communal life in an ashram sometimes resembles a pressure cooker. Living, studying, and working with the same people every day for 3 years would create plenty of occasions for conflict. Hello, Kalki-ji. In Swami Dayananda's view, these challenging situations would become opportunities for my inner growth. Swami Dayananda removed my fear of living in a spiritual fairyland, but replaced it with a new concern. If communal life in his ashram would be like a pressure cooker, could I handle it? I was committed to the study of Vedanta, but I wasn't sure about my ability to adapt to communal life. To be on the safe side, I made arrangements such that I could return to Santa Barbara after 6 months if I found ashram life too difficult. When I finally arrived for the 3-year course, I found myself quite comfortable, and enjoyed the stimulating and supportive spiritual environment. The ashram soon became my home. Hello, Kimmy. Hello, Pribech. Hello, Cyberangle. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Michelle. And hello, VK Francis. When Richard asked about our daily routine in the ashram, I described our schedule. Could you imagine this? 6:30 in the morning, meditation. 7 in the morning, Vedanta class. 8 in the morning, breakfast. 10 in the morning, Sanskrit class. 12 p.m., lunch. 3:30 p.m., yoga class. 5 p.m., Vedanta class. 6:30 p.m., dinner. 8 p.m., Vedanta class. And 9 p.m., satsang. All classes, except for Sanskrit and yoga, were taught by Swami Dayananda. We followed this demanding schedule 7 days a week, except when he left to conduct seminars elsewhere in the US or India. Whenever he left, we sighed in relief and enjoyed a much-needed break. The intensity of our studies could be compared to a college curriculum, in which students attend 4 classes each day in the same subject, taught by the same professor 7 days a week. Ordinarily, students would run away from such a program. Yet, after each of Swami Dayananda's brief absences, we eagerly awaited his return and the resumption of classes. And after the 3 years had come to an end, many of us wished that the classes could continue. Hello, Stephanie, and hello, Carrie Rose. Hello, Dob Darker, and thank you for your heart, me. Radhe, Radhe. And hello, 31 Plains. Each of the 50-some students also worked 15 to 20 hours a week at various chores. We all helped with routine tasks like cleaning and washing dishes. I worked many afternoons installing electrical wiring in the new lecture hall, and cabins were instructed. But the brunt of the ashram work fell on a dozen prior students of Swami Dayananda, who came to the ashram to serve as staff members. They worked long hours running the office and kitchen, as well as doing publications, fundraising, and construction work. For both students and staff, the course was rigorous, demanding, but highly rewarding. "You found it rewarding?" Richard remarked. "It sounds like a dreadfully difficult life." "It certainly was intense," I replied, "but in spite of continually feeling tired, those were the best 3 years of my life. Never have I had the freedom to devote myself so exclusively to spiritual inquiry. From the moment I got up each morning until I fell exhausted into my bed each evening, every day seemed like uninterrupted contemplation of Vedantic truths. Even routine chores became opportunities for spiritual practice." I explained how each student advanced at his or her own pace. 3 years is not a magic number. For some students it was probably more than enough. For others, perhaps not. Much depends on the student's degree of preparedness. As for myself, I experienced countless memories of joyous insight, as well as dry periods when each day seemed like a dreary copy of the day before. Hello, Stephen. Cats and more, you ask. Does my brain ever just chill? Or am I constantly thinking in such a deep manner? It's funny. The deeper you go, the more calm you become. Conflicts occasionally arose between students or staff members, especially when we had become worn down by long hours of work and study. Conflicts, of course, are natural to any group. The ashram was like a large family, and even family members get into arguments from time to time. But the most difficult conflicts I encountered were those within myself. In a life so focused on introspection, any psychological problems that had been ignored or repressed were certain to arise sooner or later. Many students, myself included, sometimes became moody or even depressed while confronting such problems. Yet, these painful intervals of inner turmoil were part of our process of spiritual and emotional growth. Our soul searching led us to examine every aspect of our personalities, including what psychologist Carl Jung called the shadow, the dark, mysterious, and sometimes sinister dimension of our personalities that we usually avoid thinking about. Any of you psychology students? I reckon a couple. According to Jung, failure to confront and make peace with one's shadow is an obstacle to emotional growth. And emotional growth is considered an essential element of preparation for Vedantic self-inquiry. Yes, you are, Anna. It must have been quite a struggle to face those inner demons, Richard observed. Yes, but what choice did we have? We couldn't run from our problems. We had nowhere to hide. No television, no movies, no distractions of any kind. We had to face them. "Tell me," said Richard, "how have you benefited from your 3 years of study, meditation, and introspection? How did it change you?" "Well, I am much more content now. I'm not troubled by all the things that used to bother me. Perhaps I could say that I became more normal." Swami Tadatmananda once said that the only people who are truly normal are those who are enlightened. Richard chuckled at this particular or peculiar definition. "Would you say that you are enlightened?" "You are not shy about asking questions, are you?" I said with a laugh. "I can say that I found what I was looking for. In fact, what I received was far greater than I ever expected." "Tell me, Mark, what do your parents think about all this?" That's an interesting question. At first they fear that I had fallen into a strange religious cult, but over the years their opinions changed a lot. When they met Swami Tadatmananda, they saw that he was a teacher worthy of respect. When I left Santa Barbara to attend the 3-year course, they worried a bit, but they knew I was pursuing something of value, even if they didn't understand what it was. Hi, Piper, or Pipper, I should say. Jai Sitaram, Gregor. Now my parents seem quite comfortable with the direction my life has taken. They see that I am happy with my life and know there is nothing to worry about. My mother once made a hilarious remark that was so revealing. She said, "Mark, I don't know anything about this Vedanta, or whatever you call it. All I know is that you are so nice now." And so we end this chapter, and our reading for the beginning of this live. So, thank you for listening with us. I hope you enjoyed that little excerpt from Roar the Ganges. We'll pick it up later.